Okay, here we go. Live. I thought I had already recorded this, so this is actually my second live. I have no idea what happened to the first one. It went into the ether. Lovely. So I'm going to do it again. But that's okay. So our first card is the Vulture out of the Spirit Animal Guidebook. Vulture. I have to find it again because I had it. Let's see here. Vulture. Guardian and purifier essential for rebalance. The vulture is perhaps the most misunderstood creature of all. This intriguing bird balances our ecosystem and prevents the spread of disease. It does the dirty work that no one wants to do and cleans up our messes. The vulture appears when there's a situation that needs to be purified or brought into balance. Remember, the vulture is greatly undervalued. What you thought was a mistake or tragedy is a blessing in disguise. When in balance, clarifies, reveals wisdom. When out of balance, dramatic, aggressive. Bringing into balance, clean your space. Clean your space, really important. Okay, so the Kuan Yin Oracle card today is Surrender, Sensitive Sister, Be Moved by the Moon. It's a beautiful card. Isn't that beautiful? I love the floaty aspect of all these cards. All of the women are floating and the yaks are near water. Isn't that beautiful? I love that card. Know what you know, even when you don't know you know it. I speak to you through your intuition, which is beyond logic. Even when you feel like you know too much or too sensitive, you do not need to shut down and try to protect yourself from feeling. What will work better for you is to be open and truthful with all that you feel and resist nothing. It shall simply flow, changing with the phases of the moon, naturally and without effort on your part. You will be guided and be shown how to do this so that you will never be afraid, even of the passing experience of fear itself. And you shall become surrendered unto life, a living embodiment of grace and motion. Something is happening. You can't see it, but your most sensitive and responsive moments, you feel it, even though others around you may not share your insight. You are meant to be moved by the moon, to sense and feel as you do. Don't try to toughen up or protect yourself or become less sensitive, less emotionally attuned, or less moved by energy or feeling. Your sensitivity can become your greatest asset, a source of wisdom, truth, and strength. Oh, I love that. I have a story I want to tell you when I get through to the other card. So this next card is Hu Yi, I think, but it is this guy. The Taoist philosophy, the tiger is revered as the sacred medicinal animal. Hu Yi translates as Lord Tiger. He is the divine masculine tiger, the spirit guardian, found in numerous Taoist shrines. He is associated with protection, war, and strategy. A particular power associated with the divine warrior is the ability to conquer your enemies. It is considered important in Eastern spiritual traditions where the possibility of another's energy enhancing or sabotaging one's spiritual progress, happiness, and well-being has a strong been recognized. Protection from the potential negative effects of jealousy, gossip, and ill will is part of the divine masculine intelligence that allows the soul to discern what needs to be acknowledged but not necessarily invited into the body. And this was the story I wanted to tell you. So I had a conversation with some ladies, and they asked me, they were like, so you talk about compassion, grace all the time. What does that mean? And how do you not be afraid of other people's fear? And I'm going to tell you what I told them, because I think it kind of weaves in very closely with both cards. Because it doesn't mean I don't have my own emotions. I have all the same emotions that everybody else has. It's just that when somebody comes at me and they're really angry or they're afraid or they're upset or whatever it is, I let myself understand that my feelings are my own feelings and their feelings are their feelings. And even if what I've said or done triggers someone else's fear, I have to be willing to go to the bottom of the well of my own feelings. So I'll use a very maybe real world experience, I guess. I don't have this circumstance, but somebody else may. So say you're living with a roommate and your roommate hasn't paid rent and they're late and you can't write a rent check because you don't have all of the rent. So rather than, and you could have all these emotions with it. You could have anger, resentment, fear, anxiety, fear you get kicked out, anxiety, like what's my landlord gonna say? And I was the person that had this person live with me. And is this person deliberately trying to sabotage? Is this person just irresponsible? What's going on? I would need to go through all of the emotions of what that is and figure out where does it come from? Because this is what I do. When I have deep emotions like this, anger, fear, resentment, whatever, I go to allow really deeply within myself and within my energy field. Where does it come from? Where's my fear from? Where does my anger and resentment sit? Like, where are these emotions in me and where do they come from? And why are they bubbling up? And only when I've gone to that bottom where I can say, I love me, it's okay. Each emotion, each circumstance, each memory that those feelings bring up, I have to allow myself not only to feel it, but I also have to allow myself the grace and compassion to love myself, forgive myself, and understand that maybe it's a childhood memory. Maybe it's somebody hurt me when I was in my 20s or 30s or 40s or whatever. Like, where does that pain, anger, resentment, where do those feelings come from? And I have to allow myself the grace and compassion to myself, to love myself and say, I love me. And it's okay to love me. It's not selfish. It's not being narcissistic. It's being self-care, self-compassion, self-love. Because if I can go there, then the next step is, say that roommate hasn't paid their rent. Okay, Astra, are you wanting to step across here? Astra's joining. She's gone back and forth a couple times now. I have to say, okay, roommate, right? Like in my head, I have to go, okay, roommate, I don't know what's going on with you. And these are all the feelings that are coming up with me. So the best gift I can give someone else in that circumstance, that person that has caused me anger, fear, resentment, caused all those emotions to bubble up, I have to say, okay, those are still mine. They don't belong to that person. It's not my job to take on their stuff. So that's when I can be in a place where I can write a letter or send them a text and say, hey, I don't know what's going on with you. Or maybe you do know. Maybe you know that person is struggling with their boyfriend or struggling with their job or whatever it is. Like, allow them the compassion and space of, I would like to discuss this because we still have to make rent, right? Like, you still need to get to the bottom of the actionable thing, right? Like, rent's kind of important. And that fear of being homeless might be a very real thing, right? So you do need to address it, but if you come at that with resentment and anger and frustration and whatever it is that your emotions are, I know we've all had these interactions, right? Where two people are coming at it and they do this and everybody blows up and the roommate moves out and everybody's mad and you've lost a friend and it becomes this thing, right? It doesn't mean that's not going to happen, but if you can come at it with compassion and grace, and the compassion and grace starts with you. So when I talk about a lot about compassion, grace, finding your place of peace within yourself, and I talk about it from that perspective because when you work on you, you're in a much better place to help other people and be available for other people to hold their own space. Doesn't mean you take it on. Now, the roommate might come back and go, what are you bothering me about it? I told you it was going to be late, and you're like, oh, well, I don't remember that conversation. Thank you for letting me know. How late is it going to be? Or that person might say, my work's really stressful right now. Why are you bothering me? I'll deal with it later. You know, like, you can have all kinds of responses. Or it could be, thank you so much for reaching out. I was really having a hard time figuring out how to tell you that I'm going to have part of rent tomorrow, but my car broke down, or I had my wages garnished, or, you know, it could be anything. You have no idea. And maybe that person was avoiding the conversation out of fear themselves. So when I talk about, you know, in the cards it brought up, right? In Hu Yi, it says, protection from the potential negative forces of jealousy, gossip, and ill will is part of the divine masculine intelligence that allows the soul to discern what needs to be acknowledged but not necessarily invited into the body. You can have communication with people where you give them space. You say, you know what, I honor your space to fill it how you want to in the world. That doesn't mean honoring their space in the world does not mean you have to take that in. Matter of fact, if anything, you're honoring their space by saying, look, I need my space. That's a beautiful thing. And the Kuan Yin card, where she talks about sensitivity, like, you're meant to be moved by the moon, to sense and feel. Don't try to toughen up or protect yourself or become less sensitive, less emotionally attuned, or less moved by the energy and feeling. Your sensitivity can be your greatest asset, a source of wisdom, truth, and strength. Your sensitivity has been given to you for your benefit, not as a burden. We are energetic, creative, sensitive entities, and we need to honor the sensitivity that we're given. So if we are deeply caring, emotional entities, I'm a very caring, extraordinarily caring entity. I don't have the gift of empathy. I have the gift of energy sensitivity. So I'm not tangled in empathic stuff all the time, but I am very much tangled in my sensitivity of caring, because I care more than you could possibly ever imagine. And in my caring, I have had to learn to own my emotions and practice compassion and grace with others, so that I can continue to care and not carry everyone else's stuff at the same time. And that requires practice. So I think today's theme is very much back to the vulture, I think. And the vulture card got moved. There it is. The vulture card, which is guardian and purifier, essential for rebalance. The vulture is the most misunderstood. The vulture is greatly undervalued. What you thought was a mistake or a tragedy is a blessing in disguise. Learning how to be compassionate and graceful towards yourself and honor your inner peace and find your bliss, that right there, that is your gift. And your sensitivity and your ability to care and your ability to love and understand without owning it is a beautiful gift. And I think today's daily devotion is very much about self-care, cleansing space, cleansing you, working on your stuff so that you can be present and available for other people. And the full moon was this last weekend, and we had an eclipse, and Samhain is tomorrow, all this energy. So I think today's cards are kind of important. Honoring the moon, honoring our connection to the moon, honoring our ability to have compassion and grace for ourselves and say, I love me, and it's okay to love me. And in that, I can love and honor you and give you compassion and grace by honoring your right to walk this world as you need to for your journey. And also know that whatever that looks like, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to hold your emotions. Those aren't mine. I'll hold space for you, and I will honor you in that space. So blessed be, my friends, and I will see you tomorrow live. I'm still working on the live part. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you in prayer. Blessed be.